Hi everyone, this is a worksheet that we're assigning you this week. I'm circling 3 problems because those are the 3 that I'm going to do with you in this video. If you only need to watch me do 1 or 2 examples, that's totally fine and you can complete the rest of it on your own, but this is meant to just remind you guys how we solve these problems. So I've already written them down on a separate sheet of paper, so again 5, 9, and 12 are going to be done for you, which means you only need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more problems. Okay, so again, this is solving systems of equations by elimination. So this is a review of something that we did right after winter break. So let me start off with the first one. Remember, the whole point of elimination is that we need to get rid of one variable entirely. So what we want is we want opposites. What that means is if I have a -2, then I would want a +2 because -2 and +2 are opposites. Those are not opposites. Now the 9s are very close to being opposites. They're both negative. So what I want to do is I want to find a way to turn one of these 9s into a +9 because then I will have opposites. I will have -9 and +9. So what I'm going to do is I can choose either one. I'm going to go ahead and take the first one and I'm going to multiply the first one times -1. So every single thing in the first equation is going to be multiplied by -1. So that turns my new equation into -1 times -2 is going to be +2x. -1 times -9 is going to be +9y. And then -1 times -25 is going to be +25. Now I'm going to put my original equation under there for the second one. So that's -4x minus 9y equals -23. Now, if you remember, the way that we did this was we always had our x's and y's lined up together, and that's how it will look on your on your worksheet. And I then condense these two into one equation by adding like terms. So 2x minus 4x is going to give me -2x. The whole point of elimination is to eliminate an entire variable. Now I can only eliminate it if when I add them they become 0. And 9y minus 9y is definitely 0. So I can write plus 0 there. You don't have to. And then I have +25 minus 23, so that gives me a +2. So I get -2x equals 2. I divide by -2. Be careful with that negative. And x is going to equal -1. Now after I get x, I still have to plug it back into one of those two equations. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I always choose the one with the least amount of negatives or the smallest values. Well, if you look, they kind of all have negatives and they all have larger values. So I'm just going to put it into the top one. -2 times -1 minus 9y equals -25. That becomes +2 minus 9y equals -25. Then I'm going to subtract my 2 from both sides, and I get -9y equals -27. When I divide by -9, I get y equals +3. And remember, the whole point of this is we're looking at lines and we want to see where the lines intersect. So we would say they intersect at -1, +3, and that would be my final answer. All right. So now let's take a look at the second one. The second one I'm doing for you guys is number 12. When you look at this, 7 and 2, they're not opposites. I can't cancel those out. And this is a 1y and that's a 3y, so I can't cancel those out. So just like the last one where we had to find something to multiply the entire equation by, I need to figure out how I can get opposites. Now, 7 and 2, there's no way they can become opposites. But I can turn a 1 into a -3. And I can do that by multiplying by -3. If I do that, I'm going to get -3y and +3y, and they will cancel out. So I'm going to go through, and I'm going to multiply that entire first equation by -3. Now, you can definitely use a calculator on this. I've already calculated it off on the side just to save time, but when you're doing this on your homework, you can use your calculator. This would become 21x minus 3y equals +57. I put that one in the calculator. Okay, then I've got my original still, which is -2x plus 3y equals -19. And just like I did on that last one, I'm going to notice that everything is lined up, and I'm just going to combine like terms. So when I do that, 21 minus 2 is going to give me 19x. Those cancel out because they're opposites, so I'm not going to bother putting the 0 there this time, but you can. And then 57 minus 19 is going to give me 38. You're going to want to use the calculator for this one. Most of us don't know this one off the top of our head, but 38 divided by 19 is going to be 2. So I got my first x value. Now I'm going to plug my x back into one of these two equations. I'm going to choose the bottom one just because those numbers are a little bit smaller. So I'm going to have negative 2. Instead of x, I'm going to put 2 plus 3y equals negative 19. I get negative 4 plus 3y equals negative 19. Then I'm going to add 4 to both sides, and I get 3y equals negative 15. Divide by 3, and y equals negative 5. So again, I'm going to say they intersect at 2, negative 5. Okay, if you feel good at this point, you don't need to watch me do the third one, but I am pretty much doing a homework assignment for you. So it might be in your best interest to watch me do this one. So one more, this is number 9. With this one, I can actually choose. I can turn that 5 into a negative 10 by multiplying by negative 2, and then the x's would cancel out. Or I can turn the y into a positive 7, and 7y minus 7y, those are going to cancel out. I'm going to choose to cancel out my x's. So I'm going to start off with multiplying the entire top equation by negative 2. So everything's being multiplied by negative 2. And when I do that, I'm going to get negative 10x minus 2y equals negative 18. That becomes, on the bottom stays the same, positive 10x minus 7y equals negative 18. Okay, so what ends up happening now is my x's cancel out, and I get negative 9y equals, 18 times 2. It's going to give us 36. I divide by my negative 9, and I get y equals negative 4. Notice this time we got y first. Doesn't matter. Sometimes you'll get y first, sometimes you'll get x first. I'm going to plug it back into the top equation because that y is alone, so that's going to make it a lot easier. I don't have to multiply by anything, but you can choose either one. If I plug it into the top equation, I get 5x plus, instead of y, I'm going to put negative 4. And that equals 9. Oops, little mistake there. Negative 18, negative 18. That should have been a negative 36. Negative 36 divided by negative 9 is going to give me a positive 4. So this is going to be a positive 4 there. So now I get 5x plus 4 equals 9. Subtract the 4, and I'm going to get 5x equals 5. Divide by 5, and I get x equals 1. So I would say they intersect at 1, 4. All right, as always, you guys can message me, Miss Hudson, if you guys have questions. We will be scheduling a Zoom this week as well, so we can answer any questions at that time too. All right, see you guys later.